Hello, my name is Matthew, and this is Stories for My Friend in Quarantine, and we're at day 14, so we're at the end of the quarantine. And I've enjoyed making these videos, and I hope anyone that's been watching them has found some enjoyment. Um, Through these 14 days, I tried to tell some funny stories or something interesting, a few personal stories. Um, but I didn't plan this out. So after a few days, I would spend the day thinking like, well, what am I gonna tell? It's hard to tell an interesting story, and by the time I made a video recapping an entire episode of a random '90s sitcom, I thought, okay, well, this is starting to fall apart. But overall, I thought it was fun. I got a lot of enjoyment, and I hope if you've been watching this, you have as well. And um, since this has been all about being in quarantine, I thought I would tell you about my friend Kevin and just the value of conversation and storytelling and telling stories and listening to stories. And my friend Kevin is one of my oldest friends, one of my closest friends, and we have a standing lunch date every Wednesday, and we've met for lunch for over 6 years now, and we've only missed just a handful. And every week, it is the highlight. It's what I look forward to every single week because we have the most fantastic conversations. Uh, and the great thing about my friend Kevin is that he has such a different way of thinking than I do. He's very analytical. So most of the stories are very similar to the stories that I've been telling you in the past 4 days. Relatively the same style, the best that I can convey that. And uh, he always has like the best questions or a different point of view on what I'm saying, and it's always just so great. And um, I'll tell you just a little bit about Kevin. It's a totally random, silly story, but years ago when I was at that coffee shop, I told you the coffee shop that I met my friend Bob at. And I was there with a few people, and I had a cup and ball. If you know that game where you have a ball attached with a string to a hand-hold cup that perfectly holds the ball, and the game is to swing the ball into the cup. It's a children's toy. And so we're all playing, and Kevin pulls up and he gets out and he walks over, and somebody hands him the cup and ball, and he swings it in, and it lands on the first try. He got it in, and this is just like Kevin. He puts it down, and he goes, "I will never do that again. I have 100% success rate with the cup and ball." And to this day, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, he's never played the cup and ball, and he has a 100% success rate. Um, but we get together and we have just fantastic conversations, and we're both very aware that we have an hour and we're not wasting it. We're not complaining. We're not talking about the traffic or the weather or just a retelling of a sequence of events or anything like that. If I'm telling him something, um, I have a point to what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be serious or profound, but there's a reason why I'm telling it. And the same thing with Kevin. We're both very aware of the time that we have together, I believe. I'm not going to speak for Kevin. There was one day where I show up for our lunch date, and I'm miserable. Not depressed, but just in a bad mood and unhappy. Kevin shows up, and it turns out he's in a bad mood. We're both miserable. So we sit down and go like, oh, I'm kind of in a bad mood. And Kevin says, like, well, I'm in a bad mood too. I was like, you're miserable? I'm miserable. And we spent the whole lunch date howling with laughter about how ill-tempered we were. I can't remember the specifics, but it was a wonderful experience to just stew and share misery together. And the fact that we're together meant that we weren't as unhappy as we would have been alone. Just one slice of time in a day, the whole world goes away, and you're just sharing stories, whether you're happy or not. And if you're in a bad mood, a great story can bring you into a wonderful mood, can shine a light on you. And whether I'm unhappy or not, most of our conversations just shine a light on my temperament for the day. It's wonderful. We have a running joke at the end of each lunch. I'll ask my friend Kevin, I'll say, well, can you rate it? Can you rate the lunch? We've been doing this for years. It's joking, of course. And he'll give a legitimate rating. He's a very honest, frank person. So we get a lot of 9s. We have a lot of 9 out of 10s. But sometimes if I'm not holding up the end of my bargain, we'll end up with some 4s, a 4 out of 10. And he's told me that we will never have a 10 out of 10. He said, just like that cup and ball, almost. If we ever have a 10 out of 10 lunch, an absolute pitch perfect lunch date, it'll be the last lunch that we ever have, because there's nowhere else to go. So we have lots of 9s, never made a 10, and plenty of average 6, 5, 4 lunches. So this is less of a story than a rambling, but here we are. If you're watching to this point, if you've watched any of the other 13 videos of me telling stories, not only leave a comment if you would like, but I'd be very interested in a rating. And it's out of 10, but I don't want to sound too hopeful, but there's no 10 out of 10 is out of the question. So it's out of 10, but the best can be a 9. And just like with my friend Kevin, this is obviously a joke, and we're having fun. So there we go. We're at the end of the quarantine. We've shared stories together. Many of you have even commented and told me shared experiences, which is just wonderful. Some of you have even asked me to continue telling stories, and to be honest with you, I don't really think I have it in me. I don't have that many interesting stories, I don't think. But in any event, here we are at the end of the quarantine, and I just want to say thank you for watching. And at least at the moment, I'm going to go back to my usual book-oriented videos. So that's it. Leave a comment if you would like. Give me a rating if you would like. And take care.